This video is part 2 of me making a set of wooden screens to keep the neighbours happy-ish and cover up a whole thing of my crap that's visible from the front of the house. G'day, welcome to Chestnut and Ag. It's been a while because I've been sick for pretty much all of October, but I'm back at it. It's just finished raining last night, early in the morning, and things are just starting to wake up. In the last episode, I just finished laying out where the mortises were going to be for the panels. So now we're going to get into cutting out those mortises, and then hopefully by the end of this video, the frame will be fully ready to dry fit. And probably part 3 of this series will be the actually woven bit of these wooden screens. So let's go. So these marks here and here mark the corner of the mortise. Alright, so having that cut off, so with the bevel facing the tenon, we can get right in there and just press a mark there, and then the same on the far side. And now we just want to establish a knife ball, so just taking a little sliver, because if you just stick it here and hit too hard, you'll push the wood that way and the edge of the mortise will be in the wrong spot. So we just pare back and deepen this mark so we can be confident it's in the right place. So we've got 2 corners marked off. Now we just need to take away this bit of the tenon, and we can I'll be able to mark off these 2 corners. It's a bit fiddly this way, but it means that you can really line up the tenon and the mortise to be exactly the same place, so that the faces here will be almost perfectly flush. Well, they'll be perfectly flush if you get the marking right. Unfortunately, I've lost the hoop of this chisel. With the drier weather we had last week, we were into the 30s, and the wood shrunk and it popped off, and I've lost it somewhere on the ground. I'm not sure I said it in the other video, but if you're doing these from bare wood, good idea not to do the grooves first, because it can get in the way of doing the joinery. And what I would like to do is drill a hole, especially for the through mortises, makes it a lot easier, but I can't until I get down to solid wood, because if I try and drill through here, the drill bit's going to just deviate this way and muck up the position of my mortise. So I've got to cut the mortise first off to get it down to the bottom of the groove. Drilling a hole through a mortise makes the job a lot quicker, especially for through mortises, but even with blind mortises it can still make a difference. There we go. I'm staying away from the edge. I just want to take the center out. Right, well now I've got 8 mortises to chop out. I'm not one of these zealots who is dogmatic and says that Japanese tools are better. Now, I use a lot of them because they're very, very good, but they're not superior in all aspects, because there's some incredibly good European tools, and I've got some very old French tools that are amazing. But this is a tool that, as far as I know, is unique to Japan. Now, this is a Mori Nomi, or otherwise known as a harpoon chisel, and it's really great because you can see there's the waste that is in there from the chisel. Then this cuts it up and breaks it up, and then allows you to just shake it out. Now, they're often used in conjunction with another sort of chisel, a Sokozare Nomi, which is, because my Japanese sucks, better described as a bottom cleaning chisel, and I've got one of those, but I haven't got it restored and ready for use, and I would have used it for this project, except I can't find it. With the Western chisel, the standard approach is to use the mortise chisel to get the chips out. But the steel on Japanese chisels is so hard and therefore brittle the levering action of levering out the chips just doesn't work very well, and it's very easy to snap or chip the blade. So that's why you use the bottom cleaning chisel and the harpoon chisel to clean the chips out instead. And working from one end to the other of these two rails, using the chisel on all the mortises and then using the harpoon chisel on all the mortises, very efficient. I'm not picking up and putting down tools, I'm just working backwards and forwards until they're done. Well, that's all the joinery done for all three screens. They're ready, well, they're almost ready to be put together. Oh, bother. Bother. Well, it should have been time to put the frames together, but somehow I've stuffed up the placement of the joints. The other annoying thing is that both pieces are wrong. The bottom mortise is wrong on one and the top mortise is wrong on the other. So it's not just a case of replacing one, I've either got to do both of them over again or I've got to fix them. So I think what I've done is I've gone off the top mark and put the mortise on that side when it should have been down here. So there's our, not sure if you can see that in the camera, but there's our mark for the bottom. So we want to transfer that to there. Okay, here is the center rail. Right, so there's a reference face. Okay, that's how we want it to go there. How am I going to do this? If I take that block and stick it there, and then bring that over like so. That's not a brilliant way, but it'll get us in the ballpark, as long as I can hold everything steady. Talk about an example of how not to do things. So now, let's get that, give that a little light tap. Pair the corners, brush them off. Another light tap, a bit heavier though. There we go. I also want to do something about this hole, because there's not a lot of meat between those two. So what I'm going to do is plug it. So let's just check our depth. It's there. It's there. So that's the right depth. I might just cut that down a smidge. Well, I'm going to have to cut it down because I want the channel, don't I? Yes, I do. So I'm going to cut the channel depth off, and then I'm going to plug, glue and then plug. Alrighty, now we can get back to fitting it and putting it all together. Left. Makes that the right. That's the middle, but I haven't finished this yet. No, so I've got to do that. I didn't take that all the way to the end because I didn't want to interfere with the tenon. Oh, this plough plane is working brilliantly now. Before we put it together, we need to drill the peg holes for the mortise. The rounded face. That marks the center point of that hole on the tenon. But what we want to do now is draw bore and get the holes slightly offset. So we want the holes, instead of being perfectly lined up, we want the tenon hole to be slightly that way, so that when the peg gets driven through, it pulls the joint tighter. So that means we want the hole, instead of being there, we just want it there. Just a little bit towards the shoulder. Well, that's the joinery all done for the frame, and it's partially assembled. The bottom section is fully assembled, ready to start the weaving process, which will be in the next video. But I think that'll do us for now. But anyway, this weekend I'm going to be at the Bendigo Swap Meet, and I've got some details for that. It will be in the description below, but my site is 350. If you want to come along and just see some of the stuff that I've got for sale, or just come along for a chat, then you're more than welcome, because I'll be there for the whole weekend. But until then, I hope you enjoy this video, and I'll catch you guys anon. Bye-bye.